So when we're thinking about Valentine's Day and people want to go on dates, what would make a really nice Valentine's Day meal?
Well, for Valentine's Day, you want to do something special for yourself. You don't want the ordinary, everyday meal. You want to go for something that's rich and delicious and a little bit more decadent. Here at the Blue Cow, our Valentine's feature is going to be filet mignon, topped with crab meat, with bernaise, and then with fresh asparagus, and that's called filet Oscar. We're serving that with our gratin d'affaires. And then for dessert, I would suggest either the creme brulee or the chocolate mousse. They're both really delicious, but also super light. Because the trick for Valentine's Day, you don't want to feel like you've just eaten Thanksgiving dinner. You want something that's really rich and decadent and special, but doesn't give you that so-full feeling that you can't go on and do more Valentine activities.
Okay. So when you're talking about being decadent, it's might be a meal that you haven't really treated yourself to in the past, and it's more of a one-time thing. You don't want it to be really heavy.
Yeah, you don't want it to be really heavy, and you want that special cut of meat. Like when you're talking about filet mignon, that's the best cut of steak that you can get off of a piece of beef. So it's going to be fork tender and just full of delicious beefy flavor. But it's not going to be like huge, not like our ribeye where we've got 16 ounces of cow on the plate. So it's kind of a smaller portion. So when you're finished, you feel satisfied, but you don't feel stuffed.
Traditionally, food has always been paired with wine. Now there's been a bigger movement of pairing it with beer. What do you think should happen for Valentine's Day, wine or beer?
You know, it really depends on the preference of the person. And that's a nice thing about, you don't always have to drink exactly what your partner is drinking. And a lot of times guys shy away from wine dinners or multi-course dinners because they can't, figure out how they want to pair. But we have an equal number of beer selections here that you can go through 4 courses with 4 different beers, all paired specifically for that course. And if the lady prefers wine, she can do the same thing with wine through the 4 courses that she's going to enjoy.
And I know it matters what you're eating to pair it with, but let's say, maybe if you're having red meat, or maybe if you were having fish, what would be a nice maybe wine to go with that and a nice beer to go with that?
Well, with fish, we typically tend towards the whiter wines. A couple basic rules of thumb for pairing: if your dish is a little spicier, you like to go with a sweeter white wine, or like a blonde ale or a lighter beer, maybe something more in the ale or the lager style. If your dish is really full and really there's a lot of complexity, like a nice steak, we tend to match your wine to that. Something red with nice complexity, good tannins on the finish, a lot of ripe fruit on the front end. And for that same thing, I would look for similar flavors in my beer. I want something that's got something really big on the front end and a really nice finish, like an oatmeal stout.
Kind of going into that dessert, what is it about chocolates that just screams Valentine's? I mean, is it the flavor profile in there, or what is it about chocolates and sweets?
I don't know if it's necessarily chocolate that screams Valentine's Day, but it's dessert. People tend, sometimes if they don't typically have dessert with dinner, they treat themselves on Valentine's Day because that sweet finish at the end of the meal is just characteristic of the feelings that Valentine's Day conjures up. And you want the experience to last a while. For instance, when we take reservations for Valentine's Day, in the restaurant business, we typically say we turn a 2-top in an hour and a half. For Valentine's Day, we allow 2 hours and 15 minutes for that same 2-top because you know that people come to the restaurant with the plan that they're going to really spend the evening together and enjoy their time. So they tend to eat slower, spread their meal out, and make that time and room for dessert at the end of the meal so that they can enjoy the full dining experience.
And you mentioned it's not necessarily about the chocolate, it's about sharing.
It's about sharing, and it's about dessert in general. Like if you put chocolate mousse or creme brulee in front of me on Valentine's Day, I would be hard-pressed to choose which one. I think they're both really appropriate Valentine's Day desserts. But like our #1 seller, which is our cheesecake, we probably won't sell very much of that on Valentine's Day because that's a very heavy, very kind of filling dessert. People want to leave their Valentine's Day dinner feeling satisfied and taken care of, but they don't want to feel stuffed.
Okay. So, again, kind of staying on the same subject, the quintessential Valentine's thing is always a heart-shaped box of chocolates. What do you think is maybe a sweet treat that's kind of overlooked or would be a great alternative? I mean, you mentioned some desserts, but maybe something that someone could go out and buy and take home with them or give as a gift. What is something that's been overlooked that could be a good alternative this year?
I think doing your own chocolate dipped strawberries is absolutely lovely. So easy to do. To make them at home, take some nice high quality chocolate chips, add a little bit of half and half to it, put it in your microwave for 30 seconds, stir it until the chocolate melts. So even guys can do this, it's really easy. The chocolate melts, and take some nice strawberries, dip them in the chocolate that you've just melted, and just put them on a sheet of wax paper, throw them in your refrigerator. And so you can give them like you would give a box of chocolates. You can put them in a container and present them to somebody, or you can put them on a plate and serve them as a dessert. So I think it's lovely. It's a fruit component and a chocolate component together, and that to me screams Valentine's Day, chocolate covered strawberries.
And what do you think is the most important key element to just having a good Valentine's Day, a good date with your loved one?
Make a reservation. So it's terrible in the restaurant business when you see, like, a lovely couple come in and they're really anticipating having a beautiful evening, and the restaurant is full with reservations, and so you present them, you can say, well, you can wait, 45 minutes for a table. For some people, that's great. They like to sit at the bar and have a cocktail and visit with each other, and waiting for a table is not a problem. For other people, though, it stresses them, and they tend not to want to do that. So I think the key to a successful Valentine's Day evening is to plan what you're going to be doing, make your reservations, and make sure that that table is there for you so that you can have that experience that you're wanting to have.
And just kind of closing up, what if someone's very busy, they don't really have time to make an elaborate meal? What would you suggest they do to enjoy their Valentine's Day night?
Take out. If you don't have time to go to your favorite restaurant and enjoy that meal, call them, get them to put something together for you. Bring it home. Or you can always cook, but cooking and enjoying are two different things. So typically, when you have Valentine's Day, both people want to enjoy. Like sometimes you can cook for someone's birthday, you're giving a gift of your cooking to another person. But Valentine's Day is supposed to be shared by both people. So if one person's cooking for the other person, that person's kind of doing the work, whereas getting an opportunity to dine out, go to the movies, or just really treat yourself to a special date is really more what Valentine's is all about.